So our next topic is the ecological and the economic importance of the lichen. Okay, now see, the topics although seems very simple, this is a very important topic because majority of the time in the UPSC mains examination they will ask you what are the general characteristics of the lichen or give the economic or the ecological importance of the lichen. As you know, lichens are very particularly interesting organism because they are the combinations of two or three organisms together, and they found a particular niche in the plant kingdom. Okay, on the one hand we have the algae, which is typically the plant group, then we have the fungi, which is typically the heterotrophic group, but they are combined together to form a one thing which can photosynthesize. So from evolutionary point of view, these algae, these lichens are of very much importance. Whenever we say we have to study the particular organism from their evolutionary point of view, you must have the connections between them. So lichen is a kind of connection, okay? Just like the cyanobacteria, lichens are also the organism which enters the evolutionary lines, because whatever the evolutionary lines are there, all these lines are connected by such a kind of organism. And as you know, lichens are the combination of two to three organisms, and that is why they shows the very different characteristics than the rest of the individual organisms. Like algae individually show the different characters, fungi individually shows the different characters, but when they are come together and they form the one lichen, they shows the different types of characters. So that is why these lichens are of particular interest not only to the examiner but also to the those scientists who have studied the evolution. Okay, whatever the evolution of the plant life is there, from the evolutionary point of view, these lichens are of very much importance. Okay, so in this particular video lecture we are going to focus on the ecological as well as the economic importance of the lichens. As earlier we have already distinguished between what is the ecological significance and what is the economic significance. The ecological significance is that significance which is provided to the nature. Okay, if the lichen is providing any service to the nature, then we call it as a ecological importance. And if the lichen is providing any service to the humankind from the human point of view, if it is important from the human point of view, then and only then we call it as a economic importance. Okay, so ecological importance and the economic importance are two different things. Ecological importance is that importance which is given by the organism to the nature, that is the lichens are providing service to the ecosystem, to the nature, then we call it as a ecological importance. And if it is provide service to the humankind, it's a human benefit, then it is called as the economic importance. Okay, now economic importance are generally very easy to put forward, but what is difficult to give the ecological importance of any organism, because you have to think from the nature point of view, from the ecosystem point of view. Okay, so in this particular video lecture we are going to clear all this topic. Okay, now consider this is your syllabus. We are here, we are doing the second unit of the paper 1, that is the cryptogams, and we are doing the lichens. In that we have studied the structure and reproduction in the lichens from the evolutionary viewpoint. Okay, and after that finally we are studying its ecological and the economic importance. So it is clearly mentioned in your syllabus, and that is why it will also increase the importance of this particular topic. Okay, now let us consider the first ecological importance of the lichens. Okay, now, so whatever the lichens are here, these lichens are of great ecological importance. They provide various kinds of services to the nature. Okay, so in that category we are going to study the first ecological importance, that is in the primary succession, which is famously called as the pedogenesis. Now consider what is meant by the succession. This is very important. Now succession is the sequential process from which the desertic or the lifeless area, okay, what is the lifeless area, got converted into the typical forest area. So the conversion of the lifeless area into the forest area over a period of time, over the sequential stages, is called as the succession. So this succession process, which is typically given in your ecology chapter, there we will study them in very detail, and we have also created a particular video to understand this particular topic, so you can find this on our YouTube channel as well. So the succession, the ecological succession, is the sequential change in any area which is the lifeless area, and then after the sequential stages and the period of time, this lifeless area is got completely converted into the forest area, that is the area with the life. Okay, different types of biodiversity is there, various kinds of life are there which are taking advantage of that particular area. So conversion of the lifeless area into the forest area over a period of time is called as this ecological succession. Now what lichens do in this particular ecological succession? Now see, it is very important. Whenever there is a xerarch type of ecological succession, xerarch literally means in the desert area. Okay, if there is a no availability of water, if there is a no availability of soil in such a area, if the succession is going to happen, this type of succession is called as the Zeras succession. Okay, and in that succession we are studying the primary succession because earlier there were no life forms. If there were no life forms in a particular area, then if the succession starts there, we called it as a primary succession. And if earlier there were the life forms in the particular area present, then we called it as a secondary succession. Okay, so in the primary succession, the lichen plays a very important role by doing the process of pedogenesis. Now see, the pedogenesis, this word literally means the creation of the soil. Okay, soil creation, which the process of soil creation is called as the pedogenesis. Now consider the formation of soil by the lichen on the barren land by secreting the carbonic acid or the oxalic acid. Very important, these two words. Okay, the carbonic acid and the oxalic acid produced by these lichens to create the soil in a particular desertic area or on the rock. Okay, now consider this is a crustose lichen. Okay, as we have studied yesterday, this is the crustose lichen, and this crustose lichen is present on this bare rock. Now understand this from really from the beginning. Okay, now this particular rock or this particular area do not have any life because this area has such harsh abiotic condition that the life cannot grow here, because the primary requirement for the life, that is the water, is absent here. Then soil which is required to hold the plant is also absent here. Then in such a condition no plant will grow there. If there will not be any plant, there will not be any animal, and if there will not be any animal, there will not be any insect or not be any type of the other life forms. So there is a complete lifeless area. You can observe this desertic condition where there are only rocks and nothing more, and these rocks cannot provide the suitable conditions for the plants and the animals to grow there, and that is why these areas always remains lifeless. But in such a condition, now see, but in such a condition, the lichens, which can live without water, as you know, we have studied, they are able to tolerate the droughts, right? Or even they can manage their life by using the very little amount of water from the rain or the atmosphere. So they have the remarkable ability to live in the drought condition, that is in absence of water. Plus, when they attach themselves to the substratum or to the rock, as you know, the medulla region, which region? The medulla region of the crustose lichen. The medulla region of this crustose lichen go inside the rock. Whenever it finds the small crevices, it grow inside the rock, and it creates it secretes the carbonic acid and the oxalic acid. That is, two types of acid were secreted. That is the carbonic acid and the oxalic acid. These are two types of acid were secreted by these lichens, and when these lichens secrete such a kind of acid into this particular rock, the rock withering occurs. What is occurring here? Rock withering. Now, as the rock withering occurs, there is a conversion of rock into the small particles. Okay, smaller particles are first created there, and from these smaller particles, slowly this carbonic acid and oxalic acid convert these small particles into the soil over a period of time. So creation of the soil is typically attributed to the lichens. Soil creation, as you know, the pedogenesis is very important process in the ecosystem, and this process in the desertic ecosystem is primarily done by the lichens. This is very, very important, because where there is a no life form is surviving, who is surviving there? The lichens, because of their drought tolerance abilities. So they go to that particular lifeless area, they grow on the rock, and on that rock they insert their medulla portion, just like this crustose lichen, and after inserting its medulla portion into the rock, they start secreting the acids, which is called as the carbonic acid and the oxalic acid. And after secreting this acid, this rock starts to wither and create the small particle, which are later got converted into the soil. So the soil is first time created in that area just due to the presence of the lichens. Okay, so lichens are responsible for the creation of soil in this particular area. Okay, now consider, on bare mineral poor rocks, the lichens are first to grow. Okay, in such a case, these are called as the pioneer organism. Okay, what they are called as the pioneer organism. Pioneer, this word we use it literally for those who start the work at the beginning. In the one who comes first in the process, we call that thing as a pioneer. Okay, so in the primary succession, who is the primary organism here? The lichens are the primary organisms. These lichens are responsible for first to appear on this rock and create the soil, and that is why we are considered them as a pioneer organism. Okay, now forming the small pockets of the soil. What they create the small pockets of the soil in the process of pedogenesis by secreting the acidic secretions, which help them to break down the substrate and results in the accumulation of the soil over a period of time. So this is how the soil is created in the lifeless area. First, there were lifeless area. Why lifeless area? Because no water and soil is available in that particular area. Organism cannot grow there because the water is not there, soil is not there. So in such a condition, they cannot grow, and that is why there is no life in this particular areas. So the in such areas, the pioneer organisms are the lichens, and they are able to withstand the drought, and they also wither the rock and convert them into the soil. Now what is the condition? Now the condition is that there is no water but there is soil. Okay, soil is there. Now see mosses, which are literally the bryophytes. Okay, now see, once there is a small amount of the soil, then the mosses then colonize these the pockets of the soil, eventually creates the enough nutrients in the soil for the shrubs. Now see why this happen. See, once there is a soil on the rock, and if there is a rain, this soil has the ability to hold the rain. Okay, this soil now is now holding the rain water, and that is why the water is also available and soil is also available now. And now in such a condition, when there is a water and soil availability, the small plants like bryophytes can grow there. Okay, mosses can grow there. Now what happens earlier? If there is a bare rock and if there is a rain, there will not be any soil, so the water runoff. Okay, water runoff takes place there, and water is not hold in these particular areas. But when there is an introduction of the lichens, these lichens create the some amount of soil, and this soil is responsible for the trapping of the rainwater, and this soil always remains wet in the crevices of the rocks. Okay, in such a condition, the mosses starts to grow there, and they also increase the soil in this particular area, because then they are accumulating the nutrients. Okay, what they accumulate the nutrients from this soil, and when these mosses die, they form the organic matter from their dead bodies. Okay, so organic matter is created in these particular mosses, and after the death of these mosses, they create the energy rich molecules, dead molecules, into the rocks or the crevices of the rocks. Then in such a condition, the shrubs, which are even larger than the mosses, the shrubs can grow there now, because sufficient amount of soil is created, sufficient amount of water is there, sufficient amount of nutrient is also there. Now everything is available for these particular shrubs to grow there, and that is why these shrubs take hold there. Okay, now over hundreds of years, the shrubs build up the soil nitrogen levels. Okay, now these shrubs are responsible for creating the nitrogen in these particular soils. So nitrogen is now also available. Over hundreds of years can be taken by these shrubs to create this nitrogen rich soil. Okay, until the even bigger plants than the shrubs are able to thrive. So even bigger plants than the shrubs, just like the trees, are now growing there. So whatever starting from the small lichen, after the lichen there comes the mosses, after the mosses there comes the shrubs, and after the shrubs now there are the trees. And how it is started? It is all started from the lichen, and that is why we call the lichens as the pioneer organisms, eventually crowding out the shrubs and forming the dense spruce forest. So these trees are then take off the shrubs from this particular area, and this tree starts to dominate this particular area. So finally, right from the lifeless bare rock, the whole area got converted into the forest area. Now we can say that the lifeless area slowly over hundreds of years got converted into the forest area just because of the lichens. So lichens, which has the remarkable ability to live in the droughts and create the soil, that is the pedogenesis. Pedogenesis can be done by these lichens, and that is why they provide the very important service to the nature, not only to the nature but also to the ecosystem. And that is why they are able to create these small organisms, able to convert the lifeless area into the complete forest. So this is the first ecological importance of the lichen. Okay, so very important that the lichens are able to convert the lifeless area into the life area by converting the barren land into the forest area, and by doing the process of pedogenesis. Okay, in that category, the two important acids, that is the carbonic acid and the oxalic acid, are very much important keywords. Okay, now consider the next ecological importance. See, the lichens can clean up the atmospheric air. Okay, so whatever the air composition is there, as you know, whenever we study about the air composition, there is a 78% of the nitrogen, right, around 20% of the oxygen, and then rest of the gases. Okay, there, which completes the 100%. Okay, so nearly 20 to 21% of oxygen is there, then 78% of nitrogen is there, and other gaseous compounds in the very trace amounts are present there, just like the CO2 and other things. Okay, so air has the very particular air composition. Okay, And this air composition nowadays changing, and that is why we are saying that the global warming is occurring there, because there is a amount of CO2 which is constantly increasing in this particular air composition, and that is why we say that the global warming is occurring here. Okay, so the lichens, as you know, they has the remarkable ability to trap the atmospheric nutrients, even the toxic chemicals, just like the sulfur dioxide. These sulfur dioxide can also be accumulated by inside their bodies to the level that it remains toxic for themselves, and which eventually lead to the death of these lichens. But in the process, what they are doing, they are accumulating the harmful substances from the environment. So they literally clean the air to its natural composition. Whatever the air disturbances which are created by the anthropogenic activities, that is due to the human activities, whatever the small disturbances are created in the air composition, these are taken away by these lichens. So sulfur dioxide is primarily created by the humans, and due to this sulfur dioxide, the air is get polluted. But this sulfur dioxide is primarily absorbed by the lichens, and in the process, the lichen death occurs, and that is why we say they cannot grow in and around the cities. Okay, but in the process, what they are doing the air cleaning. What they are doing, they are maintaining the air composition as it is. So very peculiar type of the service it is provided by the lichens to the nature, that it purifies the air. Now see, lichens are the tough and can survive the extreme climates such as the extreme heat, cold, or the drought, but they are very sensitive to the air pollution, that we, as we have rightly described it, right? Now see, these lichens absorb everything from the air. Whatever is in the air, they can quickly absorb it, because they have the remarkable ability to accumulate all these chemical substances from the air. Okay, just like sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, heavy metals, etc. are absorbed by these lichens, and hence they are purifying the atmospheric air. Now due to this absorption, majority of the time lichen dies, right? As we know, they cannot tolerate this such a kind of the toxins in their bodies, and that is why the death occurs. Okay, but through this process, they clean up the clean up the site where they live. Where there is a lichens, they try to extract these pollutants from the air, and that is why they are able to purify the air. But in the process, the death occurs of the lichens. Okay, so the second ecological service which is provided to the nature by the lichens is to purify the atmospheric air. Okay, now consider the third one. See, increase of the soil fertility. Of course, whenever we talk about the lichens, in the lichens, we have also talked about the cyanobacteria. They also form the symbiotic relationship with the cyanobacteria, as in the case of the filamentous lichens. Okay, so filamentous lichens are there, in which the cyanolichens are created, in which the fungi form the symbiotic association with the cyanobacteria. And as you know, cyanobacteria, when we studied the cyanobacteria, we primarily focus on the nitrogen fixation, because they shows the particular structure which is called as the heterocyst, and this heterocyst is responsible for the nitrogen fixation. Whatever the nitrogen is present in the atmosphere, the plants do not have ability to trap this atmospheric nitrogen. But what the cyanobacteria do, it converts this N2, that is the N to N triple bond, into the nitrites, okay, which is absorbable for the other plants. Okay, so these nitrogen which is present in the air in the form of N2, it cannot be directly absorbed by the plants. Plants do not have this ability. So who convert this nitrogen into the nitrites which can easily be absorbed by the plants? It is done by the cyanobacteria. So whenever the cyanobacteria forms the symbiotic association with the fungi, they forms the cyanolichens. Okay, and these cyanolichens are responsible for trapping the atmospheric nitrogen. ओके, एटमॉस्फेरिक नाइट्रोजन को ट्रैप करने का ये काम करते हैं, एंड बाय ट्रैपिंग दिस एटमॉस्फेरिक नाइट्रोजन दे टेक दिस नाइट्रोजन टू द सॉइल, एंड हेंस दे इंक्रीज द नाइट्रोजन लेवल इनटू द सॉइल ऑन व्हिच द अदर प्लांट्स ग्रो. So nitrogen, as you know, the NPK is the essential component for the plant life, because the plant typically requires these as a fertilizer or as natural compounds. So who is making available these compounds to the plants? These are the cyanobacteria, and these cyanobacteria are sometimes in a combination with the fungi forms the lichen, and these lichens are responsible for trapping the atmospheric nitrogen and making them available to the other plants. Okay, so cyanobacteria in lichen, which has the ability to fix the nitrogen gas into the biologically available compounds, enhance the soil fertility. So whenever there is an enhance of the soil fertility, the soil supports the large plant life. Okay, so large plant life once got supported, then the of course, if there is a forest, the other animals also tends to live in such a condition. So complete biodiversity is formed just because of there is a presence of the nitrogen. And who is bringing this nitrogen? This nitrogen is bring by the lichens. Okay, now see, the rain leaches the nitrates from the lichens, helping the nitrogen poor coniferous forest found in the temperate areas. Okay, now see, particularly in the temperate area where there is a very poor soil, because in the temperate area the soil is not that much rich in the nutrients, and in such a condition these lichens shows up, and these lichens plays a very important role in these coniferous forests which are found in the temperate area to bring the nitrogen for these particular forest. So very important, because the increasing the soil fertility is the typical service provided by the lichen to the nature, and they do this by trapping the nitrogen from the atmosphere and mixing it with the soil and making it available to the other plants. So this is particularly very important in the temperate areas, because as you know, when we draw the mother earth like this, and in the inwhere between here we have the equator, and above and below the equator we have the tropical areas. These tropical areas shows the presence of a large amount of nutrients in the soil, but above the tropical area what we have is the temperate area. These temperate area do not show that much amount of the nutrients in their soil, and that is why these lichens plays a very important role in such a coniferous forest of the temperate area by making available the nitrogen level in the soil. Okay, now consider the next one. Lichens is by providing the habitat to the other animals. That is, lichens are providing habitat to the other animals as well. That is, they are able to provide habitat. That literally means the other animals, the small animals, particularly the insect group, live on these particular lichens. Now see, the many species of the invertebrates live on and among the lichens, using them as a concealment, shelter, or the food. So these small species of the invertebrates, they likes to hide inside the lichens. Okay, they likes to hide inside the lichens. Plus, they use it as a shelter to live in. Plus, they also use it as a food. So in and all, lichen is the integral part of these animals, of the invertebrates. So not only they use the lichen for the concealment, but they also use the lichen as a shelter and as the food. Okay, now see, over half of the orders of the insect have association with the lichens. Now just the importance of the lichens by this, the lichens, almost half of the orders of the insect. As you know, insect is the largest class in the animal kingdom, and half of its insects are somewhere or another way, are directly or indirectly are connected to the lichens. Okay, so now see, there is a striking cases of the insect mimicking the lichens. See, there are insects which typically mimics the lichens to hide out. If there is a particular lichen color, and this particular lichen color is copied by these insect, and they sit on these particular lichens so that they will not be found from the air or from the ground. They get camouflage. So they mimicking the lichen. See, the most well-known example is the peppered moth. Now observe, this is the peppered moth, and just by looking at it, you will remember the Krustos lichen. Krustos lichen looks exactly like this color. And if these peppered moths sit on this Krustos lichen, they will not be identifiable from the surrounding. They look exactly same from the background, and that is why they camouflage themselves by using this particular lichens. So lichens are not only providing habitat to the other animals, but it also provides the food and the way of concealment. And majority of the insect using the mimicking the lichen to hide out from their predators. Whatever the predators are chasing them, they just want to hide from these predators, and that is why they use the lichen to conceal themselves. Plus also, they mimics the lichen in such a way that if they are present on these lichens, they are hardly distinguishable from the lichen's body. So peppered moth is the very important example which live on the lichen covered tree bark. Lichen covered tree bark पे जो है ये these peppered moth hide on the lichens, and that is why they are not identified by these predators, and in the process they saved their life. So these lichens play a very important role in the life of the many insects, plus also the invertebrates. Okay, so they are providing the habitat, not only habitat, the way of concealment, plus also the shelter and food. Okay, now see, the fifth one is the maintaining the food web. Okay, that is, now as you know, the lichens are grow where there is other animals or plants cannot grow. Now in such a condition, say for example in the tundra region, if you find there is a combination of the temperate and the polar climate, in such a condition not much of the plant life grow there, but in such a condition even these lichens able to thrive there. So the particular food webs are typically associated with these lichens, where when there are no availability of other organisms to make the food web, the lichens are forming the food web in such area. See, lichens are part of the many food webs which include the invertebrates and their predators. Now see how this is happen. See, the small lichens are eaten by the arthropods. Who is eating the lichens? Lichens are eaten by the small arthropods. So these arthropods are typically dependent on these lichens. Now these arthropods such as the mites, okay, mites is the example which is feeding on this particular lichens. Then these are preyed upon by the spiders. Spiders are eating these mites. Okay, so whatever the energy which is present in the lichen is going in the bodies of the mites, and these mites transferring that energy to the spiders, then which uses these lichens to camouflage. Now see, these spiders are also using the, as we have already talked about, the insect use the lichens to get camouflage. So spider easily trap these mites which are feeding on these lichens and extract all the energy from the mites into the spiders. Now these are spiders which is in turn eaten by the shrews. Okay, shrews were able to eat these spiders, and these shrews then eaten by the owls. Okay, owls or hawks. Okay. So this is how the cycle, the food web is running right from the lichens. Lichens are eaten by the mites, mites are eaten by the spiders, spiders are eaten by the shrews, and shrews are eaten by the owls. So this is how the cycle, that is, the food web is run by these particular lichens. Okay, so maintaining the food web is another ecological importance performed by these lichens. All right, now see the sixth one. See the production of the oxygen. As you know, the lichens provide the mode of survival in the harsh environment, because in the desert environment, as you can observe in this particular picture, no other plant life is growing there, but still the lichens are growing in these desertic conditions. So in such a desertic condition where there is no plant life, there will be the oxygen deficiency, because the plants are responsible for creating the oxygen in any particular area. And if there are no plants, there will not be any oxygen. There are many parts of the world in which only the lichens are growing, and hence they are making the ecosystem there. They are creating the food web. They are alone responsible for that. Now see, in the harsh environment, the algae and the fungi alone cannot normally survive, because in the harsh condition, just like the high temperature, at high temperature the algae cannot grow, and in such a condition, even there is if there is no particular substrate to consume, the fungi cannot grow even. So alone fungi and algae cannot grow in the particular harsh conditions. But when they are came together and they form the lichen, they lichen enable the algae to live in all over the parts of the world in the many different climates. So they also provide means of convert the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere in the process of photosynthesis into the oxygen. So even in the harsh condition, the photosynthesis is going on, and the conversion of the CO2 into the O2 is taking place. And why this photosynthesis is occurring? Just because of the combination of the algae and the fungi, that is the lichens. Because lichens has the ability to live where there is other organisms cannot live. And due to this ability, the lichens forms the very food web in that particular area and able to convert the CO2 into the O2 in the process of photosynthesis, which is absolutely required for the all heterotrophic animals. All heterotrophic animals typically require oxygen for their survival. That is, insect cannot grow in a particular area where there is a deficiency of oxygen. So the production of oxygen from the CO2 in the process of photosynthesis in the areas where there is no other plants are growing, it is also attributed to the lichens, and lichens are primarily responsible for the oxygen production in such a harsh condition. So they are playing very important role in maintaining the ecosystems in the harsh condition, or there is if there are conditions which are not suitable for the other organism, the lichens are creating the suitable condition for these organisms. All other heterotrophic life is dependent on the oxygen, and this oxygen in the harsh areas is typically created by the lichens. So this is the another ecological service which is provided by these lichens. That is why we say that the lichens are ecologically very important. So lichens are used as a food. Of course, the lichens जो है throughout the world they are used as a food in the many parts. Okay, just like Lecanora esculenta and the Amblycaria esculenta, both are producing the lichinin. Now, what is this lichinin? This lichinin is the carbohydrate-like chemical compound which is produced inside these particular lichens. So, this lichinin compound can be directly used as a food source by the humans. Okay, so there are certain kinds of the lichens which are growing in a certain parts of the world. They can produce the lichinin like chemical compound, which are the carbohydrate like chemical compound, that is why we can easily consume them. Then the Parmelia, as we have discussed about the Parmelia, it is used in the curry powder. It is used as a curry powder. Okay, powder is created out of this Parmelia, and this powder is used as a curry powder in order to create the curry. Okay, and for making chocolates as well. Okay, chocolates are also created out of it, and that is why they play a very important role as being the food for the humankind. Okay, there are many examples of the lichens which are directly or indirectly used as a food material, but some of them are mentioned here. Why? Because in particular you have to give only the one or two examples in the UPSC mains examination that how we can use the lichens as a food. So Lecanora esculenta or Amblycaria esculenta are the good examples for the lichinin, and the Parmelia for the curry powder powder and the chocolates. That's enough to mention in the UPSC mains examination that why lichens are important as a food material to the humankind. Okay. Now consider the second one. See, lichen as a fodder, of course, this is very important because we have discussed that lichens grow there where there is alone algae or fungi cannot grow, such as in the conditions above the temperate zone. There we find only the source of the food material is the lichens. In such a conditions, all the cattle or the reindeers particularly live in the temperate climate. These reindeers and the cattle are typically dependent on the lichens for their food material. See, the species of Cladonia, Satria, Evornia, Parmelia, etc. lichens are used as a fodder by these particular animals. Okay, these animals are typically harvested by the humans, and we maintain these animals in order to benefit ourselves. And as a food material for this animal, whatever the food material which is given to the cattle is called as fodder, right? These fodder, these lichens can be used as a fodders for these particular reindeers or the cattle. Okay, so not only the lichens is used as a food for the humankind, but it is also used as a food for the reindeers and the cattle where there is no availability of the other food material. And what are the lichen species you have to carefully put forward as an example are the Cladonia, Satria, Evornia and the Parmelia. All these are used as a fodder for the reindeers and the cattle. Okay, so this is the second economic importance from the human point of view. Now consider the third one, that is the medicinal use. The lichens, of course, used in the medicinal industry in the various ways. But from the UPSC mains examination point of view, what you should know the name of the lichen and which type of chemical compound they produce, which is used in the medicinal industry. Okay, now see the usnic acid, very important, usnic acid. This usnic acid, of course, as the name suggests, you have already judged it, it is coming from the usnia and the cladonia. Okay, cladonia and the usnia are responsible for the production of this usnic acid, and this usnic acid is used as an antibiotic against the gram-positive bacteria. So whatever the gram-positive bacteria are there, we have discussed gram-positive bacteria thoroughly while we are studying the bacteria, and this gram-positive bacteria is responsible for causing the various diseases even in the humans. The usnic acid can be used as an antibiotic against them. And from where this usnic acid is produced? This usnic acid is produced from the usnia and the cladonia. So cladonia and the usnia are the prime lichens from where we can extract the usnic acid, and this usnic acid can be used as an antibiotic to for against the gram-positive bacterial diseases. Okay. Then see the second chemical compound, that is called as the proto-lycansterinic acid. Okay. This proto-lycansterinic acid is compound, it is obtained from some of the lichens. It is used against the anti-cancer drug. Okay, it is used as a anti-cancer drug. This proto-lycansterinic acid is the anti-cancerous compound which is extracted from the lichens. Okay, then see there is another kind which is called as erythrin. Of course, ये जो erythrin है, these erythrins are extracted from the Rosella montigoni. This Rosella montigoni is the famous lichen from which this erythrin chemical compound is obtained, and it is used to cure the angina. Okay, so here are the three chemical names, that is the usnic acid, then we have the proto-lycansterinic acid, and after that we have the erythrin. So if you mention all these three names in the UPSC mains examination as the medicinal value of the lichens, you will get the complete marks there. Okay, and you should be able to also mention the usnia and the cladonia like name or the Rosella montigoni like examples. Okay, so all these are chemical compounds are useful for the humans as they have the medicinal properties, and all these medicinal properties, chemical compound, all these are coming from the lichens. Okay, and that is why they find their huge application in the medicinal industry. Now consider the next economic importance is the industrial uses. There are many industrial uses of the lichens. Okay, we can create one lecture out of this, but there are some important chemical industrial uses which are mentioned here. Okay, now see, first chemical compound is the orchil. Please remember the name. This is called as the orchil. It's a blue dye. Okay, blue color dye. It is obtained from the Rosella and the Leconera. So Rosella and Leconera, these genus of the lichens are responsible for producing this orchil, which is the blue dye. And as you know, dye it is used to dye the woolen fabrics and the silk fibers in order to give them a particular color, right? So for the coloring purposes, these are blue dyes, which is the compound responsible for giving the blue color is the orchil. It is obtained from the Rosella and the Lecanora. Okay, then the brown dye, it's another kind of dye which is called as the brown dye. It is obtained from the Parmelia species, whereas the Orcolacea species yields the red dye. Okay, red dye is also there, and this red dye is used to color the cloths as well. Then the biological strain, which is called as the orsin. Okay, as you know, in the 11th, 12th, or in the graduation examination, you must have heard about the biological strains used to stain the slides, right? And then we used to see these slides under the microscopes. So the biological strain, which is called as the orsin, this is obtained from the Orcolacea androgyna and the Orcolacea tortora. So, okay, so both these species are responsible for the production of this particular orsin biological strain. So these biological strains are also produced industrially. So the blue dyes, then the brown dyes, then the red dyes, okay, all these are produced by using the different kinds of lichens. Then the biological strain like orsin is also produced by using the certain kinds of the lichens, and all these industrial production used to sell in the market, and that is why we say that the whatever the lichens are there, these are responsible for the production of the industrial products. Okay, so the lichens are also famous for the industrial products. Many of them are the dyes, and one example here we have of the orsin. Now see the other examples as well. See the Evornia and Ramalina and the Sudorina. These are reported to produce the volatile oils. As you know, volatile oils are largely used in the production of the perfumes. Okay, so the perfumes are created out of these volatile oils, and the Evornia species or the Ramalina or the Sudorina, all these lichens produce the volatile oils. Okay, now due to their aromatic substances are those substances which show some kind of scent. Okay, so these aromatic substances which are produced as a volatile oils in the Evornia, Ramalina, and the Sudorina, all these chemical compounds can be used to create the perfumery goods, and that is why you can use them in the perfume industry. Okay, these all these substances are produced by the thallus. Okay, whatever the thallus is there, and these are thalluses are responsible for production of these particular volatile compounds, and these volatile compounds, by using these volatile compounds we can prepare the perfumery goods, and that is why these are largely used in the perfume industry. Okay, so there are the various industrial applications of these lichens, and some of them are mentioned here, and this is enough from the UPSC mains examination point of view, because you just have to put forward 2 to 3 examples of the industrial value, that is for the dyes or for the biological strains or for the perfumery goods. Okay, and you have to carefully written down the example for the each category. So this is how the economic importance of the lichen in the industry. Okay, now consider the next one is the minerals. Okay, so important minerals are also extracted from the lichens. Okay, now see the Lachanora esculenta. You can see this in a particular picture. This is the lichen which is called as the Lachanora esculenta. It is found in the limestone desert. Okay, what is the habitat for this is the limestone desert, and this yields the large amount of calcium oxalate crystals. Okay, so these are calcium oxalate crystals. From it we can extract the minerals, and these are actually the 60% of its derivative. It is the calcium oxalate crystals. So very important source of the calcium, that is the calcium oxalate. Important source for the calcium oxalate is this particular lichen, that is called the Lachanora esculenta, because 60% of its derivative coming from the calcium oxalate crystals. So whenever the industrialists try to extract the minerals or the calcium chemical compounds or these if they has to extract this in a large quantity, they use this lichen, because 60% of its dry weight is coming, it is creating the calcium oxalate crystals. So it is very beneficial to use such a kind of lichen in order to extract these minerals. Okay, now see the next importance as their pollution indicator species. Of course, we have discussed at large this particular application of the lichens, that they can be used as a pollution indicator species, because they cannot thrive in the polluted area, and that is why they cannot found in and around the cities. Okay, now see the lichens, they can be used as a pollution indicator species. Okay, especially for the concentration of the sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere. Of course, whenever there is a sulfur dioxide, the lichens quickly absorb it and they tends to die there, and that is why we say that the particular area, if they don't have the lichen population, then this area is the polluted area. And if certain kinds of the area which shows the presence of the lichens, that literally means they are the area are the pollution free area, right? See, the lichens are organisms that grow in exposed places like rocks and tree bark. They need to be very efficient at absorbing the water and nutrients from the atmosphere. So they, due to their particular habitat, what they adaptation they show, they try to extract the nutrients from the atmosphere. Okay, from the water and the atmosphere, and whatever the pollutants are present in the atmosphere like sulfur dioxide is also extracted by them and accumulated them over a period of time, and that is why death occurs in such a lichens. So that is why hence we do not find any lichens in or around the cities, because they cannot tolerate the pollution. Okay, so the lichens can be used as a pollution indicator species. All right. So this is all about this topic. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video. Please like this video, share this video with your friends who are studying the botany, and if you haven't subscribed to the Botany Option channel yet, please subscribe to the Botany Option channel for UPSC examination. Again, thank you very much for giving your time. See you in the next video lecture. Thank you.